Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my preview for this coming weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. So first I want to take a look at last year's results. So of course Verstappen won the race, of course starting 10th on the grid after mechanical issues in qualifying, which made him start a bit lower. Second was Lewis Hamilton, and third was George Russell. Of course, some of the notable incidents from that race were Verstappen's spin to win, where he basically did a 360 on track and still won the race, and Ferrari's absolutely horrendous strategy, which effectively contributed to Leclerc losing that race. So for this coming weekend, the three tires that will be used are the hard C3, soft, medium C4, and soft C5, which are the three softest tires in Pirelli's range. Schedule for this weekend: Friday, of course, these are all local time. Friday, FP1, 1:30 p.m., FP2, 5 p.m., so a bit of a later session. Saturday, FP3, 12:30, quali at noon quali at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Of course, another important thing to note about qualifying is that Pirelli will be trialing the new qualifying format that they were intending to trial at the Imola Grand Prix race, effectively. So there'll be, let's see, what was it? It's going to be hards in Q1, medium in Q2, and softs in Q3. So Perez will not have to get out of Q1 on hard tires. So that'll be an interesting experiment. Of course, the other big news I shouldn't forget to mention as well, but of course this will be Daniel Ricciardo's debut in the AlphaTauri. If you've been living under a rock, after it was announced last week that he will be replacing Nick DeVries in AlphaTauri this coming weekend. So that's of course something that people will be really excited about. And then we have the Grand Prix Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. sharp. Now for the weather, it's been very, very hot in Europe recently, and I would expect, I haven't looked at the weather specifically for Hungary, but it should be very hot. Track temperatures, air temperature will be really hot as well. I did read recently that there was maybe the risk of rain, which is possible, but I'm expecting very hot conditions for the weekend. Now let's take a little look at the track itself. Of course, the Hungaroring has been a staple on the F1 calendar since the late 1980s. It's a very high downforce track, and strategy is very important, as it can be very difficult to overtake. That being said, we've had some absolutely excellent races here in the past: 2014, 2015, 2021 with Ocon's debut first win, as well as last year was also a pretty decent race. So it's one of those weird tracks where it's either fantastic or it's not particularly great. So it'll be interesting to see which one it is this coming weekend. And it's also been known as Monaco without walls, hence why it's a bit difficult to overtake. A lot of very medium and slow speed corners. None of the straights are particularly long. Like the main straight is the longest straight, but that being said, it's not particularly long, and following through 12, 13, and 14 can be a bit difficult, which can make overtaking into turn 1 a bit tricky. But that being said, turn 1 is the best spot to make a move. If you're feeling really ambitious, you can try to make a move into turn 4. That can be a good spot to make a move stick. Turn 6, 7 isn't really an overtaking spot. The run up from 5 to turn 6 isn't long enough. Turn 12, I guess if you're extremely brave, you can try to go for a move in turn 12. That being said, this section between 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you can't really follow through there, so it makes moving to turn 12 almost impossible. So those are kind of the good spots to overtake on the track. Predictions for this coming weekend, I think, very natural predicting a Verstappen win. Besides that, making predictions this season has been pretty difficult with many different cars looking very quick at different points in the season. This past week, last race in Britain, the British Grand Prix, McLaren basically came out of nowhere to be the second fastest team. So for this weekend, it's who knows. Of course, it is a very high downforce track. It's probably the second or third highest downforce track on the year, behind Singapore and Monaco. So the teams that have very good in slow speed corners, very good grip and mechanical traction are those who should be good. That being said, the Red Bull has basically been the fastest car on every track this year. So I am sticking with a Verstappen win. Aston Martin though have kind of fallen off in recent races. I think that's more because of the characteristics of the tracks that we've been racing at though. Monaco, Alonso was second fastest, looked like the second fastest car that weekend, so I'm predicting Alonso second. Ferrari have been very good in slow speed corners through most races this season. However, actually having a clean weekend all the way through from practice to qualifying to the race has been a challenge. Canada, they were excellent in the race, terrible qualifying. Britain was basically the opposite. Qualifying was very good. Race was a challenge, and I was kind of expecting that. Like Austria was a bit of an outlier. I wasn't expecting them to be that good in Austria, but a good number of slow speed corners there. So I do think a Verstappen, Alonso, Leclerc podium is a realistic possibility. As for Sergio Perez, again, not on my predictions. I do think he's been struggling a lot in qualifying recently, and that's something that will be noted and people will be watching with really keen interest. So that's all for my preview for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Should be a pretty exciting race and a pretty exciting weekend overall, as we do have Formula 2 and Formula 3 action at the track this weekend. I should note that I will be traveling during the Grand Prix weekend, so I do not know what or how many videos I'll be able to do. I'll be flying during qualifying, so probably qualifying will either there'll be no qualifying video, or it'll be very, very delayed. But probably going to be very close to the start of the Grand Prix itself. Race video will happen, power ranking should happen. But that being said, and Formula 2, not so sure either. So that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.